it seemed like, well, Doug initially, he had some money in his budget and he thought, well, let's try video. And that was a positive experience. And in that instance, you know, we were very structured and we went, you know, we had a very, I made sure that we had lots of time in pre-production, and it took a little while to kind of pin him down and to say, this will be important. Let us spend time together and develop a working relationship, which I think we did. He felt very good about the first project. And then it was like, okay, we'd like to make 2 more films for next year, thank you very much. And then that was, he sort of delegated to a secondary person to handle and execute the details, so it wasn't all on him. And he had to try out to have the budget to do that, so he had to sort of give it the forethought there. And so that was a little more planned and was a little larger investment. We're going to, as it turns out, there's again a little more money in the budget, so we're going to do a piece on senior leadership, which will be important to the school there. We also, the people in development saw what we were doing and became interested, so now we're involved in a capital campaign film for the arts, and then a larger capital campaign for the school. And consequently now as well, there is a more well-defined budget specifically for video, where 2.5 years ago there was none. One of the questions that I like to ask is, who is student zero? Who is the student who you would most like to attract in this process? And who is it? Where is that student at play? Right? In other words, is that student also looking at X school, at Y school? Why are they considering your school, and what are some of the advantages that you want to play up, and what are some of the other elements that might make them hesitant? And so I try not to think so much about directly, well, what does the competition do and how we want to, but I really want to think of it in a personal way. Can you identify and bring to life for me the applicant in your pool this year who's the ideal applicant, who you wish to capture, who you wish to communicate most effectively with, and so that we're drawing it up again, the most personal way possible. People are going to say, so why are we doing this? What is this about? And so I think what's important in this instance is to make it clear that it's not about a sale. You know, so many people think about, oh gosh, so I'm trying to help sell the school, right? And no. For students, it really is, did you know, engaging student in the dialogue quickly again, so did you know right when you came on campus that Middlesex was the place for you? And some people are like, oh no, you know what, it took a while, or yes, and so you want to say, so imagine that this is a film for that 7th grade or 8th grade you, and you're speaking to that 8th grade you. You want that person, that student, that individual to be clear about whether this is a good school or not, and what were the deciding factors for you that might help determine, give clarity to that prospective student on the other side. And that I think helps ground people in understanding that they're not having to sell, right? That they're just, if they can just speak from the heart about their own experience, that will then have meaning and purpose to another, and value to another person.
If you had told me freshman year that I would be in AP Studio Art, I would have laughed at you.
I love the way that I get to watch a student grow.
It's that I get it moment that really means the most to me as an educator.
I think the best way to describe what we do is that we're a really ambitious program. We really have big dreams for what we're going to make on stage.
Middlesex arts are versatile, enjoyable, and engaging. Maybe that's daunting to you. You don't feel like you're well-rounded. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm only good at music or something like that. But the great thing about Middlesex is they challenge you to try everything else, and then you find new things about yourself that you didn't even know, and you find out that you are a well-rounded guy.
I never thought of myself as a true thespian, but it's certainly worked out that way.
The other thing that's helpful is clarifying to the individuals that, you know what, you're not going to be doing this alone. We are seeking out lots of other people, so your voice will be added as part of a threaded narrative with others. So we're creating, a real collage, we're creating a tapestry, and so just your little piece here, it's not all on you. So if you can just help us with this little bit, and we're going to get these people, and here's another person that's going to be doing this, another faculty member is going to be doing this, so that they can sort of understand their role within this mosaic. I think that takes a little bit of the pressure off and helps them to be a little more relaxed. With the arts and athletic piece, we probably did like 35 interviews over the course of 2 days. I mean, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Just logistically, it was about very much run and gun, like, okay, here we are, what's our backdrop going to be? We want each of the backgrounds to be somewhat reflective, that speak to the aesthetic, if not the actual sort of details of in the background of athletics or arts at Middlesex. And so that really was stressful, but again, we'd done some sort of reconnaissance in terms of understanding where those places were and how we might do it and where we might go. But we had a clear sense of what we might use, what light via window or a very small kit to be able to just work it quick. But I think that's a key element, is really understanding what your background's going to be, what your composition's going to be for the frame. The thing we haven't talked about is politics, right? And particularly when you're showcasing a program, an administrator will say, we only want like 2 or 3 people speaking, and without fail, what happens is they go to the head of the athletics department, and you come to find out that really so many coaches are going to be upset if their program is not represented, if they don't have an opportunity to speak on behalf of their department. So you kind of have to negotiate and massage and understand what that's about, and how much you can push and how much you need to back off. And what are the core values of the department? How does athletics, how does competing, the value of winning, fit into Middlesex? Where is it? What distinguishes that type of engagement from any other aspect of activities that one does at Middlesex? And is it at the expense of another? Is it in addition to? And so that was part of the dialogue initially in really determining how to approach the athletics piece.
You never get made fun of for being a smart kid here, for being a hard worker. Everyone's so passionate about what they do, is that to be a student athlete is socially acceptable and is encouraged.
The students recognize that everything they do, they have to really put their heart and soul into.
And the nice thing is that my players can be in the play or sing in the chorus, or there's nothing that's scheduled against anything else. So everybody can be a participant in every facet of this school community.
We are a place that encourages well-rounded students, and those are the type of kids that we want, kids that want to really explore those passions that they have, but also maybe try new ones.
As always, people have very little sense of what you're doing, right? There are people who are watching you as you're going around campus, and they see you pointing a camera somewhere, but they have really no little sense of what it is you're capturing, and they have no idea necessarily, even if they're in the film, of how this is all going to fit together. But most people really are, they're curious, and they want to see what that mirror provides. And in this case, they were, the administration at the school was very excited and positive about the film, and they wound up sharing it with the entire school, all 3 films, which is great, because I think actually that's another piece. I mean, to point out to people is that if the film is even modestly successful, it not only works externally, but it also serves as a reinforcement of values and encouragement and inspiration internally to share with faculty, to share with students, to say, yes, look at what the good things are going on here. And I think that helps people to, just recharges them, helps them to look at things and say, yeah, that's right. Because I think a lot of times for teachers and students, you know, when you're in the trenches, when you're really working hard on either side of the equation, you forget, you know? You forget because you're so caught up in the work that you're doing. And one of the great things about video is that, yes, you can create the core of your video and then and develop it and add to it without having to recreate it. And you can, for example, in your interviews, if you're doing a lot of interviews, point out that, you know what, I had this great interview with this English teacher that I think could be a great blog piece for you. And here it is. And you know, that's another way, again, to engage, another way to, again, support the school, and to point out that what you're doing, what the mining you're doing and the cultivation you're doing for content on a particular project is also going to spin out and provide utility and value for you in additional ways that you might not have considered when you originally started out with the project. So I think, you know, we feel good, they clearly feel good about the evolution of the relationship and how it's been going. And that's really how it should work. And I think, you know, it doesn't always work as promptly, and you may not have an institution that is not as well funded, that may be tuition driven, that doesn't have as large an endowment where they can really have greater flexibility as to how they're using funds within their budget. I think it's important to understand what the budget cycle for most schools is. Budget cycle typically goes from July 1 to June 31st. And there have been times when I've said to schools, you know, we're happy if it's helpful to you. For example, a school wants, the admission cycle kind of jibes with that, so that, you know, a school might want to have filming done in the spring. They come and talk to you about, well, we would like to have you start to film in the fall and have a video that will be ready in, you know, January for our admission cycle to be able to showcase, or maybe even November to showcase. But they're talking to you in April and you're going, well, you know what, you're missing this whole chunk of beautiful weather and part of the school that you know will be important in representing and communicating what that experience is about. We're happy to film, but we understand you're not going to have budget because your money's all spent till July 1. We're happy to essentially film in April, wait to be paid July 1, if that will help you to get this footage in play. And then we'll, obviously, you know, you've set aside money for us to film in September, and we're on course financially that way. But I just think it's important to be aware of some of the tensions and some of the deadlines with which which funds are being allocated, because obviously that affects you. And if you aren't aware of that and aren't aware of sort of how you can negotiate or massage that, I think, again, you're not fishing upstream. You know, you're not casting your line as far upstream as you might to have it come down and serve you.